Conversations with your host, Sunny, where we have real, raw, and transparent conversations. I want to give a huge thank you and shout out to everybody that is a part of our community. If you are one of our subscribers, if you are following our social medias, if you have tuned in on any of your streaming platforms, we appreciate you so much. Uncorked is growing, and we are growing pretty fast, y'all. And we definitely could not have done it without you all. You make all of this worthwhile, and you make it fun. And that's the part that I love the most, that we get to do what we love to do with you as we highlight different conversations, navigating lives, as we highlight other business people and entrepreneurs that's really making an impact in their town or around the world. And of course, we have some wine. Speaking of wine, the last time we were here, I shared with you that I was going to be going on an adventure, which I did. So if you have not already checked out the vlog on YouTube, you gotta go check it out. It's a series called From My Journal to You. And it's just really me getting to know you and allowing you to get to know me beyond the couch, beyond the mic, because while we have a good time on the couch, there's so much more to know about the behind the scene, the process, becoming you, becoming a different version of you. And I thought that it was only right that I shared that with each and every one of you that makes all of this possible. So be sure to like, subscribe, and check out the vlog. And also, if you are not caught up on all your Uncorked episodes, you need to put that wine on chill. Grab your friends, grab your boo, or have a solo date night in and vlog all of Uncorked episodes, and just be on the lookout for everything that we have new and upcoming. Whew! That was a lot. I feel like I had so much to catch y'all up on, but I'm happy to be back. It is Black History Month, of course, and we just gotta shed a little light on that. Being a Black woman that's telling her story, that's using her trials and tribulations and challenges and triumphs that she's facing in life to be able to impact those that are coming behind me or beside me is my duty. It's my purpose, it's a privilege, and I don't take it lightly. I think that this is a great time to take an opportunity to learn something about Black history or Black culture that maybe you didn't know. I'm learning so many new things in this day and time as light is being shed on it, to where sometimes it's mind-blowing and your girl is in total shock. Your girl is in total shock as I'm learning new and different things about Black history and Black culture. So do your due diligence, learn something, educate someone, support a Black-owned brand, and just make sure that you do your part by showing up. So, of course, I love y'all and I appreciate that. But we are back. We are back from our 2-week Europe trip. It was 2 weeks. For y'all, it felt like a month. For me, it felt like 3 days. And your girl did not want to come back. Your girl wanted to just sing for her laptop and sing for the crew and say, y'all, come on, we moving this thing to Europe. Okay, don't tempt me, because that's something that I would definitely do. But there was a lot of things that I was able to just think about and sit with and get clarity on, get some reassurance on, get some redirection, because everything is not always peaches and cream. Like sometimes there's a cause for a redirection or a pivot. And if 2025 so far has not been anything, it has been proven to me from my personal life that it's time to pivot. And the thing about God's timing is He's not waiting on you. He's waiting on you, but He's not waiting on you. When He says it's time, He's going to make sure that everything that He needs to have in alignment is already there. Your duty and your responsibility is to be willing and to be ready and to be able as He prepares you to go and do it. And what I feel like, even with myself, because I had to sit down and get real with myself and look at my journal at some of the things that I've been praying about, some of the things I've been talking about. And I had to just really be very upfront and transparent with myself about the things that I want, the things that I know God wants for me, the lifestyle that I want to live beyond the tangible things. Those things are great, but that's very minute when it comes to a lot of the things that I'm sharing and talking to y'all about. And you'll be surprised how many times you pray for something and you don't realize that you obtain it, or you have the opportunity to experience it until you looking back like, hey, I once prayed for that thing and now I'm actually doing it, or I actually did it. And it's so important to just stop and sit with those things because we get so caught up in doing what's next and, oh, I did this, but I gotta go bigger. And sometimes it's just so important to just be right there in the now and like just express gratitude. Take it all in. You never know like what notes you're supposed to be taking or receiving in those moments of standing like in an answered prayer. Like when you realize that you are sitting or standing in an answered prayer, like it gives me chills sometimes. While I was in Europe, I had moments where like I just came to tears because for some people, oh, it's just a vacation. For me, it was something so much bigger than that. It was something that I prayed about. It was something that I asked God to put his hands on and order my steps on the when, on the how. And there was other details and things that I prayed to God about that I thought that he had forgot. Being in Europe really allowed me to just sit with some of the things that I know God had to order my steps on. And there's some things that you cannot do. You can't take the first step, the fifth step, the last step. There's literally steps that God has to order specifically for you at a specific time. And your greatest responsibility at that time is to trust the process and to not let fear become a factor. Doing something that I prayed about doing and I knew that I couldn't do on my own, only God could do, was so liberating. And it sparked something in me that I didn't even realize that I needed to be like reignited. Like sometimes we don't even realize when the fire has died down within us because we so used to running on fumes. And for me, it was a feeling that made me not even just feel, but made me so sure in my soul, like I could do everything that God, has assigned for me to do. And only I could do what he's assigned me to do. And I'll be honest and tell you, soon as I got back into the States, I'm talking about soon as I got back into the airport, into familiar environment, something started to kind of shift in me to a point to where I had to have a conversation with myself and with God at a later time. But let me tell you what I felt. Soon as I got back into familiar territory, there was this instant feeling of fear that I started to have about the things that I had just experienced in Europe. And I heard a little voice telling me like, oh, I'm not ready. It started to remind me of all of the things or people or reasons that I could use as an excuse as to why now is not the time, or when God ordered my steps in the near future, it won't be the time. And I had to kind of grab myself and get myself together and remind myself that you will not. You would not allow fear. You would not allow doubt. You would not allow procrastination. You would not allow familiar things and familiar people and familiar environments to be this voice in your head that's louder than God, because you telling me that they have more power over you than God has. And I had to really check myself, because we will allow ourselves to feel like we have to become a certain version of ourselves in order to go do, or to go be, or to have, or to experience. And we have to stop ourselves and ask ourselves, what if God wants you to go in that exact form? What if he wants you to do it in that exact version of yourself? What if the version of yourself that you think you have to be is not even qualified? What if you only qualified as your very self in that moment? And I had to tell myself, girl, you been it. You been it. You don't need to get ready. You don't need to go and do this to become. You don't need to go achieve this to become. Now, don't get me wrong. Stay consistent in whatever it is that God directs you and guides you to do. But you don't need to go and change who you are, let alone whose you are, in order to do the things that God already said that you can do. And I just want to be the reminder to you, you already been it. Everything that you think you need to go do, everything that you think you need to go achieve, that you need to go become, that you need to go change about yourself, you're already it. You've already been it, and you need to start acting like it. Too often we get around what is familiar to us, and it allows us to be comfortable. It allows us to become fearful. It allows us to feed into doubt. It allows us to compare ourselves, and we already know how that comparison do. You will find yourself comparing yourself to somebody who's not even who you think they are. Have times don't even know who they are, and that's their own journey. But what are you actually comparing? If these are two completely different journeys, two completely different people, what is there to compare? Nothing, because what you would use to measure your life, they may be on a completely different metric system. And if you could focus on you and focus on God and focus on the process and focus on the journey and be so deeply involved and actively involved in your process. God, what do you want me to do for you? How can I serve you? Now my prayer since I've been back, because I understand that God has allowed me to see what I've been seeking. And I'm not going to tell you, I'm going to tell you. It's so important to go see what you've been seeking. It's so important to go put your feet on the ground. It's so important to go touch it. It's so important to go smell the air. It's so important to go sit in the environment of the things and the people that's doing what you know God has set out for you to do, because only then will you truly allow yourself to believe it. But to go a little step further, only then will you truly even allow yourself to believe that you can have it. Most times when things seem out of reach, we automatically tell ourselves, I can't have it. It ain't possible. Or I could have it if this. I would have had it, but that. Stop the excuses. Enough is enough. And I'm talking to you and I'm talking to me, because it's a constant reminder to myself. I refuse to cheat myself out of what God told me that I can have, out of what God told me only I can do, because when I get in familiar environments, it makes me feel a certain way. Get uncomfortable. If everything and everybody around you is so familiar, you've been there too long. I don't care if it's a job. I don't care if it's your church. I don't care what it is. You've been there too long, because now you're not even growing. You don't even feel like you have to grow. You don't feel the need to grow. And you may not even be in growing soil. Sometimes you're not even in the right soil to grow. And you're wondering why it's not happening. And you allow yourself to think of all these different reasons of why it's not happening. And sometimes it's because you're procrastinating. You're procrastinating to move. You're procrastinating to start. You're procrastinating to finish. You're procrastinating on challenging yourself. You're procrastinating on that follow-up email that you were supposed to send 3 weeks ago, but you're scared of rejection. Whole time, God had already cleared the way for you to be accepted, but you don't want to even reach out to even find out what the outcome is. What you scared for? I'm going to tell you what you're scared of, because I used to be scared of the same thing. You're not even scared of failing. You scared that the shit might actually work. You scared that you may actually be a bigger vessel than what you had in your little plan. Because we always got a little plan. We always want to make a little impact. We always want to do a little something. You scared that you are going to be used in such a larger capacity than what you've even envisioned, and you scared. And you even more so scared because you scared of who you got to leave behind in order to go do that. You scared that God may say, go, but I need you to go by yourself. You scared, and that's okay. That's a part of the process. But don't let fear trick you out your spot, because the same people that you're trying to keep comfortable in the company of fear, first chance they get, they gone. They gone. It might not even be their chance, but as soon as they get a chance, they gone. But we're not focused on them. We focus on ourselves. If there's something, not if, because I'm sure there is, something that you've been procrastinating on, something that you've been telling yourself, I'm going to do it, but I'm trying to wait until I get this, or wait until I become that, or wait until I get the money. Who said that it was going to take money to do it? Who said that money could get you this entry or this access? I thought that I needed to go back to school for one particular thing to get me into some rooms and some contracts that I made myself believe that I needed to have. Started paying out of pocket for these semesters, money that I did not have. If we just gonna be honest, because y'all know I won't lie to y'all. Started paying out of pocket till the well ran dry. The well ran dry. And let me tell you why it ran dry, because God never told me to do that. He allowed me to see a peek into the vision. I automatically got into auto drive. Okay, well, let me go do this and go do that, because I don't want to be overlooked for not being qualified to be able to do this on paper. Whole time, my life experiences, all the things that I thought was supposed to break me, was everything that was qualifying me for it. Qualifying me to be in rooms I ain't never even been in. I I ain't never even created a website for these things. I've never even created a resume for these things. I showed up in the places God told me to show up, and I haven't stopped doing that. So he made sure the well ran dry, because let me make sure these funds are not available to you to be able to do that, because I didn't even tell you to do that. I didn't even tell you to do that. The moment that I stopped, because I always tell God, be gentle with me. I'm going to listen the first time. Be gentle with me if I misspeak, or if I overstep, or if I move too quick. Just grab my hand and tell me, hey, fall back. And I've got to a place too. I'm going to fall back, because if you ever felt God slipper, I tell you all the time, but slipper hurt on the back of that neck. That slipper hurt. But I tell God, the first time you tell me I didn't do something right, or I need to do something different, I'm listening the first time, because I only want to do what you want me to do. And it's not until then that your desires are completely aligned with His will. Stuff just be with ease. I don't want the process to put more troubling or more challenging for me than what it is already going to be. But those same rooms that I thought I needed to go get qualified on paper, God said, my girl, I picked you. So you already qualified. And I already called them and told them and made sure that your name was the only one that made it to that particular list, because there was nobody else that I considered for that. This one in particular is for you. And I was in tears on the way home leaving one of these rooms, because as I've shared with y'all my journey and my battle with mental health and things like that, God allowed me to go back into some of the very same facilities that I was a patient in. Now I'm facilitating again. And there is no school or no college or no classes that could have prepared you for that. You had to literally walk through it, and you had to come out of it, and you had to understand with coming out of it that you didn't come out of it by yourself. And I was so grateful that God allowed me to do it, and I was even more grateful that He was gentle with me in that process, because I know at some point I probably veered off the path. I know me, so I'm sure that I did. I know at some point God said go right and I went left, or He said go left and I stood still. I know it. But I pray that He be gentle with me, and that if He see fit, like just to give me that extra nudge and just extend me a little bit more grace, as He already does. But coming out of those rooms as a facilitator where I was once a patient in was mind-blowing to me, because I knew that even with what had taken place the day before, I thought that it was going to deplete me of everything that I had in me. It actually filled me up with overflow to be able to go in there the next morning and to serve. And I woke up that morning with my prayer being, I only want to serve today. I don't want to do nothing else. I only want to serve today. And to hear how those young girls were impacted, let me know, like, God, you was here today. They felt you. And just on the strength of me doing exactly what God told me to do, where He told me to do it, when He told me to do it, by the time I was getting ready to leave that day, not the next day, not an email, let's follow up. That day, that same company said, let's extend your contract. Let's extend it. Let's extend a paid contract. Anytime God's saying I'm about to remove this, you better know that He's about to replace it with something more fulfilling. Something that is more sustaining than what you could have ever imagined. So I want to challenge you to accept and receive and give yourself permission to understand that you've been it and that you need to act like it. And there's nobody else that could do exactly what God calls you to do. The excuses, they're tired. There's no more for that. When you having those moments to where you hearing doubt, you feeling doubt, that procrastination, you need to drop to your knees right there in that moment. You need to come face front with whatever it is, like whatever that fear is that's having you like rethink whatever it is that God told you to do that you was just so reassured about 2 days ago. In that moment, it's you versus you. The distractions, cut them out. The social media, put it down. It's fake. All of it. In real life, how you showing up? In real life, who's following you? In real life, who are you following? Who are you pleasing? Who are you serving? Going to these, when I get to travel, it constantly reminds me that only here that we compete off of things that don't bring us no value. No value, none whatsoever. We don't have no stocks in it. We don't have no profit from it. All we do is lose ourselves in the midst of trying to compensate for where we think we lack. Whole time your lack is where you shine the greatest. That's where you shine the greatest. From here on out, you been it. Act like it. You been it. I've been it. And you ain't gonna be able to tell me nothing different. And I hope that you take that and you receive it and you allow yourself to give yourself permission to accept all of the abundance that God has for you. There's nothing that He wants for you that He ain't already made sure that you could have. You just have to be willing and you have to be ready and allow Him to prepare you. Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Uncourt Conversations with Sunny. I love y'all. I love me. And you been it, so act like it.